Murdering her landlord and then chopping up her body, heads to court today.
The body was found dismembered at a home on the city's north side. A just disturbing, horrible story here.
On Wednesday, October 12, 2022, a black woman aged 36 by the name of Sandra Kolalou had been charged with first-degree murder, concealing a homicidal death, and one misdemeanor count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after human remains were found in a freezer in the boarding house she was staying at in the Arcadia Terrace area of Chicago, Illinois. Other tenants that lived in the house stated on Monday, October 10th, around 2:30 a.m. going into Tuesday, they heard screaming. By that Tuesday evening, when no one heard from her, they called the police to do a well-being check for the missing landlord, Francis Walker, age 69. During the well-being check, police said they found human remains in the freezer of the landlord's apartment, and the Cook County medical examiner identified the victim as Francis Walker. Walker rented rooms in her home to women in need of shelter. Police said the same tenant who reported her missing told police they were afraid of Sandra and had called 911 about her in the past. And because of screaming they heard around 2:30 in the morning on Monday night, they thought something might be wrong and suspected something serious had happened right below them at that point. They immediately started texting the victim saying, "Are you okay?" But it is believed that Kolalou replied the text message conveying the impression that Walker was still alive. Police also said that Kolalou had a history of issues with Walker, and Walker had recently served her an eviction notice on that Sunday, which might have caused the chain of events that happened. That was about 2 days after Walker received complaints from other tenants about Kolalou. According to Chicago Police Chief of Detectives, when they first searched the home, they found blood in the bedrooms, blood on knives, and then found Walker's dismembered head in the freezer. At that point, they had to leave the residence to secure a search warrant to go back in and retrieve all the evidence properly. Once they were able to get the search warrant, that is when the other tenants began to give information and say that someone else lives there and that they were afraid of that person, who was Sandra, and that they believe she killed her in her bedroom and dismembered her on the first floor of the home. Police said that actually when they arrived for the well-being check, they actually encountered Kolalou and tried to interview her, but she told them she knew her rights and she refused to speak to the police, and then she left in a tow truck that she allegedly used Walker's credit card to purchase. Police also stated that the other tenants concerned for the tow truck driver's safety exchanged information with him and warned him that she could be possibly dangerous. Police said the residents told them that they saw Kolalou get help from the tow truck driver with a heavy plastic bag. When the tow truck driver was investigated by the news, according to Megan Hicks, she said the tow truck driver off camera would later tell her the company was called to pick up the Chevy Equinox from the house, and the owner of the vehicle, who is the suspect, got a ride in his back seat. He said the suspect was behaving strangely. That's when the tow truck driver took her to Forest Beach, where police said she dumped a large plastic bag in the garbage can. The truck driver said at this point he was unaware that the police would go on to find remains in a trash bag as well as bloody rags and towels. This is the point he said the tenants contacted him and let him know that Sandra was dangerous. And all of this was unfolding while the police were at the house, just finding out that there was a decapitated head in the freezer. And he ended up taking her somewhere else to park her car. But at that time, Kolalou didn't want to be there, so she asked to go somewhere else. And that's when the tow truck driver declined and she pulled a knife on him. After that, officers responded to the scene and placed the suspect in custody.
CBS News' Marissa Perlman live in the neighborhood. What do we know about a possible motive this morning? Lots of people wondering about that.
Yeah, so when we asked police about a possible motive, they pointed to the suspect being served an eviction notice just days before this murder happened. This all happening inside this house here on the north side. Police say they also found bloody knives inside the building as well. Now, our crew saw hazmat investigators on scene combing through forensic evidence at the home in Arcadia Terrace. It's here where Chicago police say that suspect, Sandra Kolalou, murdered her landlord, dismembered the woman, and then tried hiding her body parts. Police say the suspect was known to argue with her landlord, we now know as Francis Walker, and police say neighbors had called 911 several times about that suspect in the past. That's why they suspected something serious happened after hearing screaming early Monday morning and called police.
They heard a screaming at about 2:30 in the morning Monday night, and that's when the next day, at about, like I said, 6 or 7 p.m., they called to report the victim missing. Many of the tenants who lived in this house were afraid of this individual.
Now, police say officers tried speaking with the suspect before she jumped inside a tow truck, a driver that she hired with the victim's credit card, to take her to Foster Beach, where police later learned she had dumped human body parts inside a garbage can. Well, they later found that garbage can, those body parts, and also found dismembered body parts inside the freezer of this suspect's home.
Now, Kolalou was said to be a person who loved traveling the world, seeing new ways of life, and interacting with different cultures. She also liked helping the homeless, giving back, and educating kids. According to her friend, she can't believe that Kolalou snapped like that and that mental illness is real. No one knows what someone is going through and thinking when things like this happen. From what it looks like, she really enjoyed life and going to different places in the world. Looks like she had a positive future ahead of her. So the question is, why? Did she snap? Did she black out? Or was it just pure evil? According to police, she only had a previous criminal record of some misdemeanor offenses. Whatever the case, there are now 2 families really hurting badly, and my prayers are with them. According to news sources, they spoke with Francis Walker's brother, Arnold, and he stated she didn't have any enemies. He said, this is an exceptional circumstances we're talking about here, and this is good and evil there. And Kolalou also killed his sister's dog, he said. His wife, Maggie, said she could not imagine a person who would kill another person that way. Francis Walker was remembered as a generous and trusting person. And of all, she was generous with her time. She helped the younger generation. She didn't have any children of her own, but was wonderful with kids. The family stated that Francis rented rooms in her home and that they were unaware of any issues with Kolalou. They said they knew nothing about her and didn't even know she existed. As a retiree, Francis played organs at several churches, including Queens of Angels Catholic Church in Lincoln Square. She had also played piano since 1978 at the Evanston School of Ballet, located on Central Street in Evanston. The School of Ballet owner, Carrie, stated that we're going to miss her terribly in so many ways, and that it is just difficult to reconcile the fact that someone so kind and sweet and gentle could meet an end like this. It's not fair for anyone, and it's definitely not fair to no one to lose their life in such a way at all.
Francis Walker truly left.
So despite Kolalou currently refusing to speak to detectives and invoking her Fifth Amendment rights, Chicago police are doing what they can to piece together what they have about the disturbing events and how they believe the gruesome murder played out. Please leave a comment of your thoughts on this situation. So horrible. And then also, please keep everyone involved in this in your prayers. This is so beyond belief. And as always, remember, stay woke. Things can change quickly.
The woman charged in this murder is not talking to detectives tonight, and despite invoking her Fifth Amendment rights, Chicago police are trying to piece together what they can about this disturbing case.